Hello everyone, Killer Winston here, and this is What If Deku Was Xiao's Reincarnation Part 2. Now, before we continue with Part 2, in the last part, I forgot to mention one thing, which is what happened to the sludge villain. Well, long story short, the sludge villain came across Bakugo, and it tried to take over Bakugo's body, which it sort of did, because whenever the sludge villain just wrapped onto Bakugo, Bakugo, just like the anime, would just throw explosions everywhere, and in the end would be saved by All Might, with the sludge villain being knocked out and handed over to the police by none other than All Might, of course. And with that out of the way, let's continue. Deku, after his nice, long, relaxing nap, would wake up only to find that his entire body is still in pain. Along with that, he's late for school. Which, realizing that, Deku would, well, fall off his bed and start to crawl over to his worn-out uniform, courtesy of Bakugo. And after struggling to change into his uniform, Deku, who opened his door or his bedroom door, would start to limp over to the front door of his home to, go to school. However, before he opens the front door and leave for school, his mom, Inko, would ask Deku where he's going, to which Deku just answers his mom that he's going to school. However, to his surprise, Inko actually called the school and basically gave Deku a day off. And after explaining that to Deku, Inko helped Deku to go back to his room, change his clothes back to his pajamas, and tuck him to bed basically, telling Deku to rest up, which he did, but only for 3 hours, because after sleeping and resting for another 3 hours, Deku woke up again, and this time he's feeling a bit better, so he got off his bed and with the support of his bedroom wall, he got over to his desk, sat down, and started to do his homework. But this time, he finally noticed the pendant that is on his desk, which confused him, thinking, what is this? This wasn't here before, right? Deku grabbing onto the pendant and trying to look for more details. However, after inspecting it for a few minutes, Deku did not find any unusual things about this pendant. But he did find a note, which is a birthday gift and a birthday card from his mom, which confused Deku a bit more because his birthday was like a month ago. But anyways, free things are always good, which is what Deku thought. And while thinking of a way to use this pendant, Deku kind of let his imagination went wild. Because a few minutes later, Deku, well, he stood up and holding onto the pendant and lifting that up high in the air, he shouted, "Henshin!" with nothing happening. Deku trying another position. This time, he put the pendant on his belt and in front of his waist and yelled, "Henshin!" again. And just like last time, nothing happened. As for the next hour, Deku continued to pose in different poses and yelling "Henshin!" again and again and again, trying to become a Kamen Rider or something, or just transform. But, of course, as always, it did nothing, which disappointed Deku, thinking, is this seriously just a normal pendant? It's no fun. With Deku throwing the pendant onto the ground and continuing to do his homework, which consumed the rest of Deku's day. Why? Because homework, 1, it is very hard, and 2, it just freaking sucks. But hey, in Deku's eyes, doing homework is better than being beaten up by Bakugo. So, after finishing homework, eating dinner, and continuing to finish the rest of them, Deku would go to sleep, and waking up the next morning to find that he actually woke up 2 hours earlier than expected, and than when he's supposed to. However, Deku, not wanting to go back to sleep and then having a chance to be late to wake up and be late to school, he just started to pack up his things, change into his uniform, and was about to leave home early and maybe just wander around. But before he left his bedroom, he found the pendant that he threw away the day before. Him thinking, even though this pendant isn't the thing that I want it to be, it is still a gift that my mom gave me, so I shouldn't just throw it around. Deku, picking back up the pendant and putting it inside his pocket, he continued to think, even though this is not the transformation belt that I wanted, it could still very well be a charm, so I should take it with me. And with that, Deku silently opened the door, walked out of it, and closed the door to his bedroom, him slowly walking over to the front door. But before he opens the door and leave, he remembers that he needs to write down a note to his mom so that she doesn't worry for him. And after writing down a note on the dining table to tell Inko that he left early, Deku opened the front door and, well, left. Deku, who is freely roaming the streets, he is traveling along an empty road, going around trying to find the place where he used to look at toys and or buy toys from. And when he arrived there, it is, of course, closed because it's early in the morning. Deku, disappointed, he got back onto the empty street and started to walk forward without actually looking forward. He is looking up into the sky, thinking of where to go to next, because it's kind of boring just to walk around the street without anything to do. Suddenly, he accidentally bumped into a tall man. Deku, realizing that he just bumped into someone, he immediately stepped back and tried to apologize to this tall man. Deku, seeing the man just standing there menacingly, he starts to prepare for the worst, meaning getting scolded at. However, to his surprise, the man is actually kind. Him asking Deku if he's hurt, which Deku isn't, with the man asking Deku why he's out so early, which Deku just tells the man that he's going to school. The man saying, "It's not good to be out here so early, kid. Next time when you go to school, either take the bus or go to school with your mom." Basically just giving some advice to Deku, which Deku just nods and thanking the man. But before the man leaves, he points at Deku's pocket saying, "Hey kid, I don't know if you have noticed, but your pocket, it's glowing." Deku looking down to see that pocket is where he put the pendant. Him taking out the pendant and saying, "Oh, this is just my pendant. It does that sometimes." Well, take care, kid." Yes, thank you, mister." With Deku holding onto the pendant and looking at it, he thinks, Why are you glowing? You aren't supposed to glow, aren't you? When I checked on you yesterday, there are no gimmicks to turn you on. So, how are you glowing?" And as Deku took a few steps forwards, the glow is a bit brighter. Deku thinking, did it just gone brighter? Continuing to walk forwards, the glow coming out from the pendant is starting to get brighter and brighter. However, until a point, the glow is starting to darken and or get dimmer. Which Deku thought, wait, is this a bit dimmer? Why? What caused it to be dimmer? As Deku remembered a game that he played a long time ago. A game which is about hide and seek. And inside that game, there is an item which glows brighter and brighter if you are close to a hider. When you're the seeker, of course, and vice versa. Deku thinking, wait, does that mean that I am a hider? Or the seeker? Or, wait, this could be a treasure hunt. As Deku would start to basically walk around the street and try to get the pendant to be brighter and brighter. But unbeknownst to Deku, this bright pendant caught the attention of a certain person on a rooftop. Deku continuing to get the pendant to be brighter and brighter, he arrived in a back alley. Him thinking, please tell me he's not in there, please tell me he's not in there. With Deku walking away from the alleyway, the glow on the pendant is getting dimmer and dimmer. Deku thinking, oh no, come on, why does it have to be in there? But what choice do I have? Well, looks like I have to go into the back alleyway. Let's hope nothing bad happens. As Deku slowly walks into the alleyway, and right when Deku walked past the midpoint of the alleyway, the glow on the pendant is getting a bit dimmer, meaning that the item that the pendant is leading Deku to is around this point and or this area. Deku putting the pendant inside his pocket, he starts to, well, digs through the garbage, trying to find the item that the pendant is leading Deku to. As that was when Deku finds a suspicious mask, which resembles the face of a demon. Deku picking up the mask, he took out his pendant and put the pendant closer to the mask. And just as he thought, the pendant is glowing as bright as it can while it is right next to the mask. Deku holding onto his pendant along with the mask that he just found, he starts to walk out of the alleyway, and when he reached the end of the alleyway, he puts down the pendant along with his bag. Deku, sitting down right next to his bag, he starts to take a closer look to and or on the mask. And while he is inspecting the mask, Deku thinks, this mask, it's so well made. Heck, it's not even damaged or even scratched. Wait, what's that smell? Deku, putting the mask closer to his face, he starts to sniff the mask, which he found that the mask is not smelly, and coming to the conclusion that the one that smells is Deku himself, not the mask. Deku being fascinated by this mask, which is not damaged and does not smell even under all of that garbage. Deku wondering what the relationship is between his pendant and the mask, he looks over his bag to find where he put the pendant, only to find that his pendant is gone. Deku immediately jumping up and picking up his bag, he tries to find where he put his pendant. As after he doesn't find it on his body and inside his bag, he starts to look around, and looking up, he sees a person holding onto his pendant. Deku yelling, "Hey, that's mine!" The man just stating, really? Then why did you put it on the ground? Finders keepers, as the man starts to climb the wall. Deku, wanting to follow the man to get his pendant back, he would also try to climb the wall, but since he didn't train his body, nor does he has a quirk, he just falls back down to the ground, flat on his face. The man just yelling, "Thanks for the gift, kid. Next time, watch your belongings. Bye." Deku getting back up, he would try to get onto the wall and go after the man again. However, it's already too late, since the man is already gone. Deku falling onto his knees and starting to cry, him thinking, darn it! That was my pendant, a pendant that my mom gave me. And now I just lost it to someone I don't even know. Damn it. I knew I shouldn't went into this alleyway. Damn it. What was all this for? For this worthless mask? Deku, grabbing onto the mask with both of his hands, he starts to think, or should I say, yell, a gift from my mom for a mask in the dumps? This was not worth it at all. Deku throwing the mask onto the ground. Him leaning against the wall and continuing to cry, regretting everything that he just did. And after crying for a good minute, Deku starts to calm down. Deku, looking at his watch, he sees that he's about to be late if he doesn't go to school right now, as he immediately dashes for the bus stop. However, before he does dash for the bus stop, he looks back at the demon-like mask, thinking, you better be worth it. Deku grabbing onto the mask and then rushing for school. In the end, Deku was able to make it to school just in the nick of time. As Deku arriving into his classroom, his, classmates, they just ignores him. Deku, not really caring, he walks over to his desk, only to find that it has been written and filled with insults. Things like nerd, 8th grade syndrome shitter, Deku, worthless, useless piece of shit, things like that. Deku, finding his desk being in this state, he just puts down his bag and looks at Bakugo, who looks straight at Deku into his eyes and smirks, and then just looks away, with Bakugo's goons giving Deku the finger, the middle finger. However, to their surprise, Deku just ignores their provocations and their provoking actions. Him sitting down onto his chair, which was also full of insults and or written insults. Deku acting like nothing happened, and it's just a typical everyday normal. You get what I mean. With the school bell ringing, the lessons of that day is, starting, with the teachers not paying attention to Deku's desk and seat being in this current, state. Time flies like an arrow, as it is time for recess. And while recess was ongoing, Bakugo, who is out buying a drink, his goons starts to basically gather around Deku, them basically poking fun at Deku, who reached his limit as he packs his bags and just leaves the classroom, pushing past Bakugo's goons in the process. After leaving the classroom, Deku walks over to the toilet and or the restroom, him entering one of those, what are they called again? Toilet boxes? Anyway, after entering one of those toilet boxes, Deku closed the door and put down his bag, him sitting on the toilet without taking off his pants, and took out the mask that he just found. Looking at the demon-like mask, he thinks, a mask that resembles a demon. I wonder, what would happen if I wear this on my face? As Deku flips the mask around, as he puts it on his face, and just like that, Deku finds himself on top of a nice green hill, with a gust of wind blowing through his hair, which confused Deku, him thinking, what? Where am I? Huh? Deku hearing the sound of a battle, him turning around to find that there is a lake right behind him, and across that lake stands a man fighting a group of monsters. Holding onto a spear, the man easily kills one of those monsters that are only half as tall as a grown man. Deku wondering as to why that man is there fighting against those small little monsters. That was when he heard something from behind him. Looking back to find one of those monsters behind him, and is actually holding onto a club, it running towards Deku and jumping at him. However, Deku, not knowing what to do, he would just stand there doing nothing. But that was when a spear goes right through Deku's chest and into the monster's face. The monster landing back onto the ground, dead. Deku, who witnessed a spear going straight through him, he's wondering how he did not feel pain. Along with that, he just saw a monster being killed in front of him. But before Deku can collect his thoughts, the man who was fighting against the other group of monsters would just appear out of nowhere in front of Deku, him grabbing onto the spear and pulling it off of the monster's head. The man turning his head, Deku would see his dark medium-length hair with teal undertones, his eyes being golden with cat-split pupils, along with the man's eyelashes having a tint of red. However, the thing that caught Deku's attention the most is the mask on this man's waist, because the mask is just as the same as the one Deku found, the demon-looking mask. However, before Deku can ask the questions that are in his mind, the area around him turned blank. However, after blinking his eyes, Deku would once again find himself on a green hill, however this time overseeing a war. Hundreds upon hundreds of men fighting against each other, hoping to gain the upper hand, as a giant tentacle-like monster bursts out from the ground, grabbing onto humans from both sides and eating them alive. The situation seemed hopeless, but that was when a giant stone spear was cast down from the sky, jamming into the tentacle-like monster and burying it under the earth. Deku, witnessing this battle, he looks up to find a dragon soaring through the skies, and above that was a humanoid being in an orange glow, resembling that of a god. And with a wave of his hand, 4 giant stone spears the size of a mountain was summoned right next to him. The person crossing his arms as the stone spears from the skies drops down. But before the spears hit the ground, Deku's surroundings turns blank again. And that is the end of this part. If you guys want the next part, then like, comment, and subscribe. And turn on the bell if you really want to. But with that out of the way, I hope you have a nice day.